Hello friends, welcome back to the channel again. This session is a continuation of previous session where we talked about managed flex gateway. We talked about the limitations we compared with the self-managed flex gateway, how managed flex gateway is eliminating the complexity of having heavy lifting in case of self-managed flex gateway. So as I promised, in this session we'll have practical demo. Here we'll be creating instance of Flex Gateway. We'll deploy it to the CloudHub 2.0. Then via this Flex Gateway endpoint, we'll try to access the API or endpoint which is secured via OAuth policy. Okay. In the previous video or session, I mentioned that when they offered this service, Managed Flex Gateway, they launch outbound policy also. So there are varieties of or the multiple outbound policies available on Flex Gateway. We'll talk about those in a moment. But let's try and create the Managed Flex Gateway and deploy it in the CloudHub 2.0. To create a Managed Flex Gateway, first thing we need is proper access to Anypoint platform. Okay, so the user which you are using to log in, it should have access to create server, manage servers, and read servers. Okay, so those permissions should be there. Once you have those permissions, and you should be admin. So to create the private space, if somebody is creating private space for you, it's great. It takes some time, so I have already created the private space and we are going to use this private space. Okay, so let's go to the Flex Gateway. Let's not waste any time. Add manage Flex Gateway. You can see here, you can give the name of your Flex Gateway. So for example, here I'll give Ashish manage Flex Gateway MFG. Okay, and I'll say I'm going to use small Flex Gateway, so I'll just say I'll be using this for testing. Okay, then you go ahead and select your select your private space. I'll go with the default setting, the LTS channel mode and the latest 1.12.1. I'll select the small Flex Gateway, and here I was talking about this. So if I delete this particular public endpoint, then I'll be able to use this Flex Gateway to handle the internal traffic. I won't be able to access this Flex Gateway from public internet. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to access this Flex Gateway from public internet. So I'll keep this endpoint and I'll simply say, yeah, deploy. Okay, so it's very fast, quickly it will deploy. So let me copy this public endpoint. I'll be using this public endpoint later. Yeah, so it will be ready in a moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you first which API I'm going to access. Okay, so I have this API where I'll be publishing document to my IDP. So this is a secured endpoint. Okay, so I'll be getting the token from here, and then this token I'll be using to upload the document, and you can see that we're able to upload. And if I remove this, sorry, my header, remove this, see, you can 401. So let's try to access this endpoint from our Flex Gateway and then apply the outbound OAuth policy to pass on that generated token to this endpoint, so that we'll be able to access this endpoint via Flex Gateway. So let me do step by step. Okay, so let's go back to our Flex Gateway. See, it's ready, very fast, very quick. So now let's go to the add API instance. It will take me to the API manager. Under API manager, let's select, this is my Flex Gateway, manage Flex Gateway. Next, it will ask me to use the existing API on the exchange. I don't want to use that. I'll go ahead and I'll try to use the API. I'll say Ashish mule IDP. I'll say this is HTTP endpoint. Next. The steps are exactly similar to the self-managed Flex gateway. Okay, I'll give base path here if you want. If you have multiple APIs already added to this, you can go ahead and add the base path. But right now I'm adding only one, so I'll keep everything default. And I have copied the endpoint from my Postman, so I'll add endpoint here as a upstream URL, and I'll simply remove this execution from here. Route rule, I'm not going to add anything, so I'll keep as it is. Next, I'll say save and deploy. Okay, so it is up to date. This is my Flex gateway endpoint. Either we can take it from here, or I already copied. So let's go to our Postman and let's create. Now if you go here and say post and add the execution at the end, I'll say header authorization, I'll add. So right now I have not applied the outbound policies, I just wanted to show you. Bearer, and just I'll take the token from here. So we're trying to trigger that endpoint from Flex gateway now. So body, I'll go ahead, form data, file, select some file from my folder and say send. Successfully is working. Now what we are going to do, instead of passing this value here, we'll apply the outbound policy. Let's go ahead, go back here, go back to our API endpoint policies. Let's go to the outbound policy, add outbound policy, which upstream API endpoint we are this one. Say next. Search for OAuth, simple credential injection. This is the option. This is the policy we are going to use as a outbound policy. Okay, everything will keep default. We'll use our OAuth endpoint from here. This endpoint, go back, paste it here, and send credentials in body, yes. Client credentials, the grant type, yes. Let's go back and pass on our client ID, client secret, client ID here. I already copied from Postman, and client secret here. Okay, override header, everything is as it is. We are passing as URL encoded. Let me go back, URL encoded, client ID, client secret, grant type, everything, right? Let's go back and say save and apply. Again, this policy will get applied quickly. Okay, let's go to the Postman and we'll try to trigger, we remove this authorization. Okay, or for just for trying information, I'll just delete this. Okay, and now in the body we are uploading same file. You should be able to see. Yeah, you can see that this time we have not passed any credentials over here or token. We have not generated any token from the previous URL. It is getting applied as outbound policy over here. It is generating token, and before hitting this upstream endpoint, that token will be injected here as a credential. So quick recap, we have used the already created private space, then we went and created managed flex gateway, and on this managed flex gateway we try to access the API which is secured via OAuth policy. So for that we have applied the outbound policy, and then we have executed the endpoint, the flex gateway endpoint, and we are able to successfully access that endpoint via executing outbound policy. Yeah, so that's what the end-to-end demo, where we have created managed flex gateway and access the endpoint which is secured via OAuth policy. That's all from this session. Hope you liked it. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the bell icon so that you will get a notification to upcoming videos. And if you have any comments, please drop those in a comment box. Thank you.